Okay, and then it rounds off, and Paul tries to cover everything here. If there is any virtue, and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things.
What's the good word? Meditate. It just says think in the King James.
Oh, does it? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This actually reminds me of, when with working in mental health, the big thing these days is something called cognitive therapy. It's very simple, really. And it boils down to this. In fact, why not give you scriptural proof of this? Proverbs 23 and verse 7. Just the first part. And the best translation of this is the King James. I love the King James. It's just the first part of it, of that verse. Proverbs 23 verse 7. Someone to ring the... read.
For as he thinketh in his heart, so he is.
Yes. Yes, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, or so he is. Okay? So, just briefly, cognitive therapy, I know it's secular, but it boils down to this, that A, you have a thought. Something happens. An event takes place. B, you have a thought about it. Yeah? And it's that thought that leads to C, your feelings and behaviour. And if there's any kind of process of psychology that at least has some merit scripturally, it's at least that.
Yeah.
That in life, as we think, so we are, so we behave, so we feel, so we become, just as the proverb says. And from all the different disciplines of psychology that I've had to look at, and what my favourite is definitely this one, because it seems to be the closest biblically, that that the way you think, the way you meditate, will affect the way you feel and the way you behave, just as the proverb says. And so, looking at this, whilst we've referred to actions, it's also about thinking, isn't it? It's about how to have a healthy thought life, how to have mental well-being, I suppose, if you are thinking on these things. When intrusive thoughts, bad thoughts enter, well, perhaps we need to check ourselves and think, well, am I applying Philippians 4 verse 8 to my thought life? In fact, that might well be summed up by, I think Paul says, to bring every
thought captive to the obedience. Is it obedience of Christ?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And also in 2 Corinthians 10 verse 5, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God.
Yeah.
Oh, then that's it. Oh, yeah.
That's the same.
But first of all, it's the...
yeah, so it puts it in context, yeah.
Yes, that's brilliant, yes, yeah. So it's just interesting how biblically, long before ever the guy Aaron Beck or Albert Ellis came up with this, it was there.
And he probably doesn't even know that.
Probably not.
He thinks he's discovered something...
something, yeah,
amazing,
groundbreaking.
Incredible, groundbreaking.
Yes. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So the commentary just says, a wholesome thought pattern will result in a life of moral and spiritual excellence.
Yeah, I think it's very true, and I think the opposite of that, converse, if you have an unhealthy thought pattern, even if your life is outwardly morally good and you're hardworking, responsible, and so on, that eventually it works its way out. I think I think.